Hey guys, it's all Blitzle here, and I am back with my post-rotation control list. When I was streaming yesterday afternoon, someone asked me if I had any cards I was keeping my eye on for post-rotation, and I figured what better way to show off my current take on control than just having a list, and I'm going to break down every purpose of every card in the deck, and also a couple main meta matchups. It's not going to be nearly as in-depth matchup guide as this list is definitely pretty raw still, but I'm going to just I haven't actually tested any games with this. It's like just pure theory craft. This deck could just be a pile, but I think it definitely has some merit. So first up, we have a 2-1 split of Ralt. I'm playing 2 of the 70 HP ones, and then 1 of the 60 HP memory skip ones. It has that same attack as that Torment Morpeko that we saw in Control. Is nice in some spots, but not going to be super relevant. Do want that extra 70 HP for the Lost Box matchup, and 3 of that Refinement Curlia. It is the engine of the deck. The discard draw 2 is so incredibly strong. We have 2-1s, a split of Drowsy and a newcomer Hypno. This is the Hypno from Silver Tempest. For 1 psychic energy, lets us search deck for 2 stage 1s and put them onto our bench. So I saw Sandra Wojcik made a tweet about this card, and I instantly got an idea for this deck. We're going to try to get 2 Spite Ops EX on the discard pile, so sort of as like a pseudo Gallermine, but more on him in just a second. We have 2 Dittos, who's the main attacker of this deck. We have several attackers that we can copy with Manaphy, Porygon, Litwick, Regieleki, Jinx, and Mawile. We have 2 Spite Ops EX, which is a new EX from the Scarlet and Violet expansion, which its ability gives our opponent's active Pokemon 1 more retreat. So it's the Hypno Spite Ops package is like sort of a do-it-yourself Galar Mine. It's a lot more work, but also there's a lot, hopefully a lot less switching cards roaming around post-rotation. One of the Manaphy promo, this was in my old Ditto control list. Let's look at our opponent's hand and put 2 basic Pokemon we find there onto our bench, so we can put unwanted Pokemon onto their bench that we can trap later. One of the bench barrier Manaphy. In that Lost Box matchup, we're going to need to protect our bench with that Radiant Greninja. 1 Pidgeot, so we never deck out. 1 Porygon, and Porygon is like sort of serving as a role that we've seen in like Orbeetle. It lets us look at the top 4 cards of our opponent's deck and arrange them in any order. So I'm going to explain the block with that in just a second. 1 Litwick is also a key part for our lock. For 1 Fire Energy, let's just discard the top card of our opponent's deck. 1 Regieleki, because that Sonar makes our resources even more infinite and gives us immediate access to our discard pile. Rotom V is incredibly scav, because like this would always be a Snorlax pre-rotation, but obviously Snorlax rotated. So that instant charge ability lets us discard 1 card from our hand and draw 3 cards, and our turn ends. It's like sort of like a hope that this is like our end of turn draw, and we can it helps us get into the game. I'm still skeptical, but I am including it for now. A 1 Radiant Jirachi, because it can serve as a pseudo consistency card, but also can apply pressure. A Jinx is integral to our lock. That alluring scent attack lets us take one of our opponent's bench Pokemon, put it in the active, and it becomes confused. 1 Mawile for that tempting trapped attack. It makes our opponent's active Pokemon cannot retreat. And finally, 1 Shadow Rider Calyrex for that Mew matchup, so they cannot put any of their double turbo energy into play. We'll just spam that Shadow Mist on them. So we have 2 Boss's Orders to trap our opponent. 1 Cylean for the resources, as well as that Cylean Yellow Cheer Pal Pad combo, just to make sure we hopefully have infinite resources. 1 Roxanne, and this is the key card for our loop. We're going to go for a Roxanne, plus either Cross Switchers or Jinx to gust up an unwanted Pokemon that we put down early on in the game with Echoing Horn or Manaphy. And then we are going to use, after we've gusted up and they have a 2-card hand, we're going to use Porygon to control their top deck and make sure that they never draw a good card. And then we can use Misfortune Sisters to mill switching cards. And then also, if they ever have a point where we can, let's just say, put a switch on top and they have a dead card underneath it, we can use Litwick to mill that switch, and then also make it so that they top deck a dead card with that Porygon. So that's where like the Spite Ups comes in. We're going to try to use Hypno to put the Spite Ups onto the bench, and then go Roxanne, Gust, and then hopefully to just trap them. Similar to what that Wheezing Orbeetle control deck did. This I think has to be your best way to beat Lost Box. I honestly cannot see another avenue to victory against Lost Box. Like if we can gust up a Radiant Greninja or a Comfey. Ideally not Comfey because they can still draw cards with it, but just something that they cannot move around easily. Maybe like a Zamazenta, Snorlax, something that isn't loaded up that we Echoing Horn into play spontaneously. Because like we don't have Parasol to protect Flying Pikachu, no Wash Energy to protect Ice Cube. So this is like my attempt to beat Lost Box. I don't know how effective it is. Like this is definitely the biggest looming issue with control, as well as Clef Key, which we'll get into that in just a moment. Peonia, because of course we have many 1-up cards that we don't want prized. Claw for little Pokemon recovery also helps us keep track of our thin energy lines. Misfortune Sisters, it helps us mill our opponent's switching cards while we maintain lock. Flannery is nice in combo with Shadow Rider Calyrex, so if that Mew gets an attachment down on the first turn, we still can discard it. And it's our only stadium bump in the deck. Caitlin's kind of a funny card. It hasn't really ever seen any play. I'm sort of skeptical how it will work in this deck, but the idea behind it is I'm going to draw my Spidops early on, and I don't want to just, I can't cheat them into play with Hypno then, so we're going to Caitlyn and put them onto the bottom of the deck, because we need to cheat them into play with Hypno. Another newcomer, and that's Arvin. Let's search our deck for a item card and a tool card. Now that tool cards are rebranded into their own thing. As you can see, we have a couple tool cards. I'll get into them in just a second. It's like a pseudo computer search because we have that for a Sealstone, as well as can find many of our 1-of trainer cards. We have one Avery, and this is like sort of filling that role that a collapsed stadium would, but I don't want that adverse effect of just limiting us to 4. So we can play that Avery and Echoing Horn a Pokemon back onto our opponent's bench, or use Manaphy so we can force them to put a bad Pokemon into play. 4 Level Ball and 3 Nest Ball, as well as 1 Ultra Ball. I want the 4th Nest Ball so bad, but I had to cut it for one of our tech cards. 2 Cross Switchers for the aforementioned play in the in our Roxanne loop. 1 Palpad so we can hopefully be infinite with all our supporters. Echoing Horn to put unwanted Pokemon onto our opponent's bench. Hisuian because we have lots of 1-on Pokemon that we don't want prized. Fan of Waves for a little extra energy denial in the Mew matchup. 1 Switch because we have no other way to move our Pokemon around. Already talked about Ultra Ball. Pod Helmet is key for our game plan into the Lugia and Gardevoir matchup. So as you can see, I'm not playing any sort of energy, or not very much energy denial like Cry Destruction, Yveltal, Sydney. The reason behind this is in that Lugia and Gardevoir matchup, they're likely not playing any switching cards. So we're going to put like an unwanted Pokemon onto their bench like Manaphy, Pumpkaboo, Radiant Greninja. And then we're going to use Mawile, gust it up and use Mawile over and over again. But they could still attack with that Pokemon, at least in Lugia's case. They still could use Pumpkaboo and use Stampede for 20. So so they don't just take 6 prizes slowly against Dittos, we can slap a Pod Helmet on it and then we'll take 0 damage. 1 for Sealstone to give us that computer search. We will have Rotom on the bench a lot of the time, as well as we can just bench Pidgeot and then yeet it back into the deck. 2 double turbos to attack with that Jinx, as well as it can be a nice retreat option on like Spidops. 2 Psychics so we can use Hypno and Shadow Rider Calyrex. 2 Waters for the Manaphy, and 1 Fire for Litwick. So yeah, this was a lot to digest, I'm sure, but now I'm going to go matchup by matchup and explain why exactly I play every card. So the first matchup I'm going to talk about is a newcomer, and that's Gardevoir. I touched on this a little bit when I was explaining all my cards, but against Gardevoir, at least the list that have been succeeding in Japan, they have not been playing any switching cards. So we're going to go for that Mawile. We don't need Spidops. We're going to try to aggressively set up our Curly, as we even can use Hypno to cheat them into play if we need to, and then we're going to use Manaphy, Echoing Horn, just somehow, someway get a bad Pokemon onto their bench. We can gust up with their Cross Switchers or Boss, and then just infinitely use that Tempting Trap until our opponent decks out. We have Pidgeot, Cyclone, Yelchier. We're never going to deck out. That'll be our same blueprint into the Lugia matchup. Against Mew, we have that Shadow Rider Calyrex, and of course against Lawsome Box, we have that Spidops Roxanne loop. And that Roxanne loop will definitely work into pretty much every matchup. It'll be a pretty universal game plan. Those are like the 4 big decks that have succeeded in Japan so far. Also, Miraidon has been doing well, but at least those Miraidon, Regieleki don't play a ton of switching cards, so if you can use like Spidops, and then Gust up a Regieleki, force it to have 2 retreat, plus a Roxanne, it could be tough for them to move it. And of course, those lists have not been... Some of those lists have not been playing a Miltank answer, like they're not playing the Flappy and just the turbo like generator list. And you definitely could put a Miltank in here. I had to cut it because it was not super useful in those big 4 matchups. But yeah, this deck could just be a complete pile. So if you guys try this yourself IRL, definitely let me know how it goes. But I have a very important video I'm going to be uploading tomorrow. I'll be working on it today. So if you please go on my community tab on my YouTube page, and I made a community post about I just want your guys' honest thoughts on TCG Live, whether it's good or bad in your experience, and why. If you can please comment that. I'll be making like my review on TCG Live, and I like some like snippets for I can play on screen and read, and I just a solid sample size of what people think about the game. And if you could please share that around so we can get a solid sample size just for that video. But if you have any other post-rotation decks you'd like me to cover, definitely let me know in the comment section down below, or any other post-rotation content, as we're only 3 weeks away from the rotation. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and smell, but I'll catch you in the next one.